There is a supernatural world that surrounds us. Sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear stories about this, so much more, right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Folks, gold has surged 46% in less than a year, doubling the gains of the NASDAQ and S&P 500. But this isn't just another rally. Global reserves are shifting, exposing cracks in the monetary system. Investors are losing confidence in paper gold and demanding physical metal, creating a massive gap between gold owned and gold available. But this isn't about how institutions broke another system. It's about how you can profit from it. Right now, Noble Gold Investments has a limited supply of investment-grade gold bars and coins available. As banks scramble to fulfill their obligations, pushing gold prices higher, you can profit. Smart investors are already moving into physical gold. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy for you to do the same. And right now, when you order a qualified investment, Noble Gold will add a free 1/10 of an ounce gold coin to your order. Folks, don't wait until it's too late. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. I will tell you this, folks, there is always a risk in any type of a transaction like this. But Peggy and I did it about 2 years ago, and I have to tell you, I think gold is going to go through the roof. That's conjecture on my part, but check it out. noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Folks, I'm here with Messianic Rabbi Phil Rabb. He told me this story about a year ago. Oh, yeah, Phil, we'll get you on the show. This is fantastic. People need to hear this. And it's been a year, and we're finally getting around to it. Phil, Rabbi, thanks so much for coming on the record. I appreciate it. Tell us the story. Tell us what happened.
Well, in my free time, being a rabbi and teaching the Word of God, I'm an avid fly fisherman, like to fly fish. So kind of like, the other Jew I would put, where you like Henry Winkler, he likes to, the Fonz likes to fly fish too. And this is as a joke, but no. I make it a point, one of my relatives and I, we're avid fly fishermen. So like I said, we go once or twice a year for vacation downtime. And last year it was the first week of June and we went to Montana and wow, we were fishing up north. We're on the Missouri River and then we went down to Yellowstone. We planned on going down there. So from Big Sky, Bozeman to West Yellowstone is Highway 191, U.S. Highway 191. I don't know if you've ever been there, LA.
No, I never have. No.
I related this to, Mondo at Prophecy Watchers. He said I know exactly where you're at. Last year, I'll back up a little bit. Last year at the Prophecy Watchers conference in February, you and I, Mondo and another gentleman and I were fellowshipping, if you remember, after the conferences. We're just talking. We're just,
hanging out.
Yeah, hang out. And we were just kind of talking, and you were bringing up, and so did Mondo, with regards to Bigfoot, the one gentleman that lived over down in just outside of Conway, Arkansas. Mondo and him work a little closely together on some things, projects, and I know you worked with him too. And so there was some things you guys were talking about, and you said just when you had your experiences, and people that have had experiences, they usually will try to get you, kind of scare you. They'll throw rocks and things of that nature. Kind of logged it. So that was February. So fast forward to June of last year, 2024, we're up Montana, and it was a Saturday night, and sun goes down about 9, call it 9:50. It's mountain time, so you're at the kind of end of the mountain time zone.
Right.
So the sun will step. Okay. So from West Yellowstone north on 191 is the Madison River. You go over the bridge you go over the bridge on 191, goes over the Madison River. And there's a pull-off right before that, and there's a campground just south of that. We had fished that earlier that day. And then we went up to this other pull-off that we've always had really good success at. And then me and my relative, and then we kind of hiked in. We'll hike in like 2 miles, and then we'll get to, even though we have bear spray and stuff like that, because you got to watch out for bears. So you're kind of scanning the horizon. So that's what's on our mind. Wildlife with bears, more importantly,
So I want to stop you right there. So you're hiking 2 miles further in to the wilderness, and you got bears. Are you carrying a sidearm, 45, just to spray?
Well, because we go into this actual on the national park, because you hit a boundary across the river. There's a cable that says you are now entering the U.S. National Park, Yellowstone, and it's kind of goofy. But the rules out there is, I could fly with a weapon if you wanted to, a sidearm. There's no problem to do that. As long as you check it properly and everything like that. But if you go into the park, you can have a sidearm, but it's like wearing a watch. If you discharge your weapon inside the federal park of Yellowstone or any federal national park, you'll get charged.
Right. Okay.
If you're trying to protect yourself.
No, I get it. Okay.
It's kind of pretzel logic, but
Right.
I don't want to digress.
So you're basically kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's a path and stuff. It's not like you're, blazing a trail, but you're far from the madding crowd, as it were. There's no ATM machine on the side of the trail. So, you're in the wilderness. What happens next?
So we're fishing, and we always want to fish town back, of course, where we're parked. And from where we're parked to the actual road, I would say about a third of a mile.
Okay.
You could see the road, but there's a curve in the river. So it kind of does an S. It kind of curves to the left and then to the right. And then as it curves to the right, you're going towards the bridge, and that's 191, U.S. Highway to 191. And so we're fishing, and we had caught some, trout. We're having a good time. And, this is like we started, I don't know, took our time. We started about 2 o'clock that afternoon. We're out there catching trout. We're just kind of moving along. And we're, cognizant of our time and stuff like that. And you can fish, till dark. I mean, those are fishing regulations. So we're going to fish till dark. And as we make the first curve, we had caught a trout. I had caught a trout. And then I kind of got out, and my relative was right before the curve. So we're almost a third of a mile. And if this give you the lay of the land, where we're at on the left side, we walked out is pretty shallow. You can walk out. And then as you walk down to the curve, where I was standing, it drops off again. It's just
But you've got waders on, because as a fly fisherman, and that's what you're doing. You're casting out. You're in the stream. You're in the river. In the shallows, it might be waist deep, whatever, and you're fly fishing. Okay.
There's upper holes and stuff. That's correct. So to the right, or across from the river where it bends to the right, and there's some, to get out, I would say it would be kind of 5 feet, 6 feet. You'd have to climb up the bank where we were casting to, and we had caught some trout. I was just standing there, and I was watching my relative fish, and as he was fishing, and just to give you, there's bushes that are even above that are about 6, 7, 8 feet in the air. And then behind that are, natural spruces that are common to, the.
So let me get this straight. So here's the river. Then you have a 5-foot bank right here. Then on top of that, you've got bushes which go up another 6 feet. So you're in the water like this. So maybe you're standing here. There's the bank, a little higher than you. There's the bushes. And the spruce. So you got about 10 feet of obstructed view because of the bank and the bushes. Is that a fair statement?
That would be a fair statement.
Okay, pick it up.
You got a bunch of spruce trees behind you,
right?
Tall, aspens and stuff like
right.
that. That's coming to west, or you live in out west, you know what I'm talking about. And so, it's about 9. Call it 9:25. Sundown's 9:30. And I got up. I had caught one. I'm like, man, my arm was getting tired as I'm getting slightly older, and we've been fishing. For 4 days straight, and I'm like, I was going to stand here, watch my relative. He's in the middle of the stream. He's casting towards the bank, that side of the bank, and we're in the middle of the river. And so nothing. And he kind of moved out a little bit, and about 9:30, it's starting to get darker out. All of a sudden, I hear this big splash from the bank. It came from the bank. It caught me off guard. I didn't see it, but it was, I would say, the rock that hit the water was probably big as around the circumference of an office chair, or slightly.
Well, okay, wait.
It was 15 feet behind, maybe
right.
20 feet behind my.
Okay, so wait a second. So you're talking office chair. You're talking something like this. So this is a boulder. This is a boulder this big, like
no, your cushion of your office.
Oh, the cushion. Okay, so you're still looking at something that's really, really big. really
And
did.
it was, and it definitely, where was no wind at that, the wind had died down. So there was really no wind at night. Usually the wind dies down, no breeze. And I didn't see the rock, but I heard splash because I wasn't really paying attention.
I got it.
And I was facing the west, so the sun was kind of shining. It as much, as little as it was kind of darker to that side of the bank.
Okay.
And it was about 20 feet, that splash. And, when you hear fish jump, it's a lot different sounding, but when somebody throws a rock in the water, it's a different dynamic.
Well, especially a rock the size of a cushion. I mean, that's a large, and then you think about it, you've got the bushes, you got the bank, the bushes, and the spruces. Something's in the spruces, and this thing is landing. How far into the water do you think it went from the bank?
From the bank, my nephew was in the center of the river. I'd say about, call for sake of argument, 15 yards behind him. 20 feet behind him, but 15 yards from the bank into the water.
Okay. All right. So go ahead.
And he turns around and he goes, "That wasn't a fish." And I go, "Yeah, no." I said, because it caught me off guard. It caught him off guard. And I said, "That was not a fish." He goes, "That came from the bank. Something hit the water." And I said, "Absolutely." So then, of course, right away, I just thought about the conversations we had. My nephew, that was my nephew. He thought that it was my relative. He thought that it was
Somebody playing a prank or something.
Kids, these kids. It's around town. We're 10 miles from town.
Right.
We're 10 miles from town. No kid's going to come out, even from the campground. No one's going to come out there, right? Because there's access, what they call ranger fire roads and stuff like that. Things of that nature. And the road that we took to there, you got to really be careful in 4-wheel drive because you're bottoming out even on a Jeep. You use cut and everything. So to get out there, you got to really want to get out there. And then people do go fish it, but we were the only ones out there at this time. Nobody else. We didn't see anybody all day or all afternoon. And so, he was like, he walked over towards the gravel bar. It was a little more shallow where we would get out. And then the pool, kind of get gradually, as the curve goes to the left, it's deeper where the flow of the river. So it's above our heads, the water. And he got out and he's standing there. And I walked over and he's like, "Those are pumpkins." And I'm like, "Not something like that." So he goes back to fish. So call it 9:35, 9:40. More granted, you can probably not see at 10 o'clock. It's pretty much.
Okay, so from the time of the splash to the time he goes back and goes fishing, what's the time frame? 5 minutes?
I'd say about 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. All right.
He's kind of in the same spot, but he had moved now right where the curve. He could start taking the curve. And all of a sudden, I see a rock about the same size come up over the trees. Same kind of scenario, same MO. About 20 feet behind and baboosh. And I said, "Okay, bears don't have opposing thumbs." So new rational thinking is,
And they don't make catapults either, okay?
no. So I'm doing the rational thinking. And right away, the conversation came back in my mind that we had in February with you and Mondo. And we were talking just casually about some people that have had experiences with, if you want to call them Bigfoot, Sasquatches, and things of that nature. Which, I kind of studied this out since then and talking to you. I'm convinced that's part of probably the lost seed, the Nephilim, if I had a venture to say it's Rob, a hybrid, if you will. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I would defer that to you and, people at Prophecy Watchers. I mean, I'm more studied the Hebrew scriptures and stuff like that. So at any rate, right away, so then I just start praying very quietly. And according to Ephesians 1, start taking my spiritual authority and saying, nope, angel of the Lord encamp around us, and was very, because I'm thinking, and as my nephew right away starts yelling like he thinks it's kids, and I'm thinking, "You're wasting your time." So then it got quiet, and he's looking for a way to get over there, and I'm thinking, yeah, that would probably be like one of the worst decisions he could ever make. This water's above his head, so he can't get over. He's on his gravel bar, and I'm thinking, okay, they'll calm down. And it started getting quieter again. And I walked over onto the gravel bar by him from the bank. And he was about 10 yards from me. And I walked up a little closer and he couldn't hear me. And he goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "I'm going to be candid with you. I really think that that was an encounter that is something that your natural mind is trying to process. But you're trying to rationally think in your rational mind, but then you start thinking, like I said, and I said, listen, I said, for all intent and purposes, I said, it plausibly is what I said, could be a Bigfoot or Sasquatch because that's their MO. They don't want to be seen in a sense, but if you're infringing on them, they know you're around them, they're going to try to scare you off. And you guys had mentioned like several accounts that you have talked to people, Mando has talked to people, have investigated it, and that
Well, these are warnings. Yeah, basically they're warning you. Get away, get out of here now. So cut to the chase. What happens after that?
Well, at first it was a little Jewish conversation where he didn't agree, I didn't agree. That's typical. And he said I was goofy out of my mind. And all of a sudden, we're standing there, and we physically see another rock come up through the trees, rolling. And this thing was big. I would say is about the size of an office chair now. Come rolling through off the bank into the water. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't care if there's 4 or 10 kids, but in between that second and third rock, you know how you just, when people have looked at you before, you know somebody's watching you, but you just got that feeling, that premonition, if you will.
Right.
That's just, I would think, the leading and just caution from, your spirit man, your Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit kind of, okay, something's not right here. And I could hear something, not twig snapping, if you will, but I could hear very thumpy feet moving around, shuffle, but bigger feet. You know what I'm trying to say? And don't want to sensationalize this.
No, I get it. I totally get it.
Shuffling. And I'm thinking, okay, logic would say to go over 6-foot bushes and not touch them, you got to be pretty strong.
Really strong.
And I don't think 4 kids would have the oomph and
no way.
There.
No way.
That's all they do for a living is throw rocks. Yeah. And that's when that one came rolling through, and I go, yeah, I said, that's when I really started praying out loud and taking my authority. And I said, yes, time to go. So he goes, well, let's go look for this thing. So we went up, got out, rode through. He wanted to go see. We went on the across the river, and there's another pull-off, and then you can take what they call fire roads. You're very familiar with them in California, in rural areas. And so they've got them there in the wilderness there outside of Yellowstone. We're still in Montana now, and because we're right on the border of Montana, Wyoming. But anyway, we go drive those roads up to the bank, like a mile down, where we had been fishing. We could see. Then we took another fire roll. By this time, it's getting pretty dark. Didn't see any lights. Didn't see anything, and got on that night and are back to the hotel, and kind of was just. My nephew had gone somewhere to get something, I think down the street. Oh, you wanted to get some water or something like that. He walked down. We had just eaten and talked about that. And, you know my wife. I called her and I explained the story to her. And she says, well, this probably sounds like a Bigfoot to me and all that case in point. She goes, I know that you said plausibly, and I'll keep saying plausibly because I never saw anything. But it was one of those experiences that was pretty surreal.
And let me just kind of weigh in on that, folks. We've heard, the whoops and knock on the trees, but there's a picture a friend of mine sent me. I've never published it because it's his picture and I don't have permission to do it. But it shows an automobile at the bottom of a ravine in the middle of nowhere. So this thing rolled down, and on top of the hood, there's a boulder, which is the size of the hood of the car. It's like, a normal hood is like what, 4 to 5 feet wide, 4 to 5 feet, right? Something like that. 4x4. So the stone is as big as a 4x4, huge stone. And it's not like somebody, came down there with a loader. There's nothing around it. And the stone is on there. Trees that are bent, but then are twisted. So, you take a stones, those were warning shots, in my opinion. They were basically saying, get out of here. And that's what they do. Phil, I'll give you the last word. Thanks for coming on, Rabbi. I appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate you allowing me to come on. It's great to see you, LA. And like I said, I'll say again, I can't confirm it, but I would have to say very plausibly, what else could it have been?
And last week, thanks, Phil. I appreciate that. And last week we had Flo on, one of the First Nation people living in Alaska, the Kushtaka, and the Hairy Men. They were there, and she saw it as a child. And I was just actually did a film shoot down in Houston just a couple of days ago, and we were talking about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Ron Moorhead's Sierra Sounds. The population has gone through the roof. There's a breeding program, and
yeah, you're right. And real quick, after that, I started, me big into history, as you know, LA, always talking history or Torah, and I looked, and in that area in the last 15, call it 100 years, there's been about 200 sightings, and park rangers have encountered in Yellowstone the same kind of thing, and have actually physically have seen them as well, their accounts. And then, like you said, the Native Americans, I started looking about that. They talk about the shapeshifters. They talk about the windwalkers, and like you just said, and they're drawing on caves. So it's very prominent with the tribes in that, the Native American tribes in that area as well, from what I researched and have found.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Rabbi. Always great to see you. Folks, so I'll be at the Prophecy Watchers Conference at the end of the month. I think it's sold out, but you can live stream it, which means you can sit around in your favorite pair of sweatpants, eat popcorn, and just have a blast and watch all the speakers. So, Phil, you're not going to be there this time, are you?
No. Plumber getting ready for Pesach, of course, with a big Passover Seder meal with a church locally here in Missouri, and then I'm going to be going to Israel the 1st of September, me and another pastor that is Jewish heritage, and we're going to Israel and taking a group.
Wow, there you go. Phil, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
If they want to get a hold of me, it is phil.rab9132@gmail.com.
And how do you spell Rab?
R-A-B.
Okay. So
Rabbi, don't add a B and an I, as I always tell people.
There you go.
R-A-B.
Thank you. Remember, folks, there is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.
Hey guys, I'm Ashley, and I'm excited to talk to you about L.A. Marzulli's new book, Rungs of Disclosure. What has been called his most important work to date, Rungs of Disclosure uncovers the shocking truth about UFOs and UAPs, information that has been hidden from the public since the Roswell crash of 1947. The book begins with F-18 fighter pilot Commander David Fravor, who made headlines when he appeared on Tucker Carlson and stated on the record that the UFO he encountered was not of this earth. His testimony was the catalyst for this book, the first rung on the ladder of disclosure. LA warns that we are heading toward what he calls the coming Great Deception. Everything we know, now is the time to uncover the facts. Now is the time to be prepared. Visit rungsofdisclosure.com to get your copy of L.A. Marzulli's latest book today. Arm yourself with the truth about the UFO phenomenon from a biblical perspective. To explore all of L.A.'s other work, head over to lamarzulli.com.